We're the voices of experiencers, and we are the experiencers of extraterrestrials.
That's interesting. Because the Lyrans or Lyrans are the feline race. And they say they're the original race, original builders. Yeah, we kind of came out of it.
Just what's out there in the abyss, in the darkness of the unknown.
And on the roof. Now that's another one I've been getting more often lately, is beings being on the roofs of people's houses.
It's time for disclosure and it's time for truth, because what lies in the darkness brings powerful transformation.
Males are fierce and the females are beautiful. I've been looking at pictures of them on here. I'd never heard of them before. Or if I have, I've been a long time ago.
You know, I was curious.
Yeah.
We're the bridge between two different worlds, with one foot in this reality and one in the next.
Some narratives of other cultures talk about the genetic engineering that some of these beings were doing, and so they were experimenting. I don't know if that violated some type of directive or whatever.
Yeah.
That they actually did, they would put a donkey's head on a human, that kind of thing. So, and it raises the question, were these gods being depicted as they were actually seen, or were they symbolic of stuff? But they were doing all kinds of genetic experiments. So, a centaur, a minotaur, mermaid, those kinds of things.
The shift is here, along with profound integration. Just who are extraterrestrials and what are their plans?
I want to look and move forward to the time that you were looking out your window and you could see through the sunlight on the window a paw print. What can you tell me about this?
It was odd, and I showed my wife it. She thought it was distinctive too, almost like the oils, physical paw or hand. Large one was on the window, and then dust and stuff clung to it, making it outline. Kind of looked like that. You could only see it when the sun was going through. We took a picture of it. There was a lot of weird things happening over time, so we were wondering how the hell did that get
And so I want you to move back just a little bit, and I want you to be able to see clearly what put the paw put there. And you can see that clearly, and I want you to describe for me what you're seeing.
Well, I'm seeing like a lion type being, but not a lion. Humanoid type being, walking upright, like on the roof, like purposely putting that print there that I would see it. I think he's dressed somehow.
Can you ask him why he's there?
Well, he said he wanted to, a trace, a marker, like a breadcrumb to follow when the time was right.
What does he want you to follow?
Origins, back to origins and purpose.
It's time to find out with the Voices of Contact.
We are the voices of experiencers because we are the experiencers. It's time for disclosure and it's time for truth, because truth brings powerful transformation. We are the voices of change. We are about evolution on an expansive level, living life without fear and becoming the bridge between two different realities. Profound evolution is here. Profound integration is here. This is the Voices of Contact. Hi everyone, I'm Mary. I'm a channeler and psychic medium. I'm also a hypnosis regressionist for ET experiencers, and I work with MUFON doing regression work. I also work with PTSD experiencers, paranormal experiencers, and victims of crime to assist them in recall. I'm really looking forward to another amazing show tonight with our panel. I just want to say to you guys that the work that you're doing here with me is so impactful, like literally it's life-changing. And I thank you for being a part of it and being here with me. It means more than you realize to me as well as the listeners. So allow me to introduce some of my most favorite people. First, we have Deb and RJ DeRoos. They're authors, paranormal UFO researchers, and they're experiencers themselves. And they also are the founders of the Michigan UFO Contact that happens every year in Houghton Lake, Michigan at the end of September. They're owners and managers of Mystical Awakenings Radio, Mystical Awakening Podcast on the YouTube channel, and at the Mystical Awakenings Metaphysical Store in Houghton Lake, Michigan. Next, we have the fabulous and well-loved Michael Carter. He is a lifetime UFO contactee, author of Alien Scriptures, Extraterrestrials, and the Holy Bible. He's also a regular consultant on the History Channel's Ancient Aliens series and the Travel Channel's UFO Lost Evidence series, as well as being featured in several UFO documentaries. Last but definitely not least, we have our amazing new panelist, Deborah Jordan Cabo. She was the central figure in Bud Hopkins' international bestseller, Intruders, The Incredible Visitations at Copley Woods, which was actually made into a CBS miniseries in 1992. She's co-author of the book Abducted, The Story of the Intruders Continues, and author of Extraordinary Contact, Life Beyond Intruders. She's a former Indiana MUFON investigator and co-founder of her own paranormal group, Paranormal Underground, and host of the Midwest Paratalk podcast. With the amazing panel that we have tonight, I know that anything is possible. And we are going to get down deep into discovery and answers to what's actually really happening out there. This show is all about transmutating the light from the dark and replacing fear with knowledge. Through my regression work, I have come across amazing cases with some amazing clients. It is my passion to work with them and to help them have a better understanding of the contact they've had. Whether they are taken, have had contact in the physical realm, or through a dream state. I'm grateful that my clients have agreed to allow me to use the regressions on the voices of contact. Tonight, this is the place to be because the panel breaks down the experiences, providing powerful feedback. I love it because all the listeners get to learn and connect, and the person that I regressed walks away even more immersed in the experience with a new perspective on their contact. Literally, it's a win-win, right? This is the voices of contact. Hi, everyone. How you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Right.
Oh, that was a long week. Shoot.
Yeah. How's your week been?
Well, it's got a little warmer.
I don't know. Probably feels like it's going to be cold forever, at least until March or April, maybe May.
Hey. Don't be putting that out there. No.
Oh,
But it is good to see y'all again.
it is. It's always good to see your guys' faces.
Yeah. I always feel at home when I'm, with my family. Of you guys.
Heck yeah. So this regression to continue on from last week's. And in this one, his first experience is a time he remembers he's in his upstairs bedroom window and he looks out his window and there's a paw print on his window, but it's the size of a hand. And he even has his wife look at it. And I do believe they take pictures of it. It's because, for one, it's a paw print that's as big as a hand. But
And it's on the second floor.
It's on the second floor, right?
Oh my God.
All right. So let me play the first clip.
Wow.
I want to look and move forward to the time that you were looking out your window and you could see through the sunlight on the window a paw print. What can you tell me about this?
It was it's odd, and I showed my wife it. She thought it was distinctive to almost like the oils of a physical paw or hand. Large one was on the window, and then, dust and stuff clung to it, making the outline. It kind of looked like that. You could only see it when the sun was going through it. We took a picture of it. It was a lot of weird things happening over time. So we were wondering, how the hell did that get there? And from what?
And so I want you to move back just a little bit. And I want you to be able to see clearly what put the paw print there. And you can see that clearly. And I want you to describe for me what you're seeing.
Well, I'm seeing like a lion type being, but not a lion. Humanoid type being, or walking upright, like on the roof, like purposely putting that print there that I would see it. I think he's dressed somehow.
Can you ask him why he's there?
Well, he said he wanted to, a trace, a marker, like a breadcrumb to follow when the time was right.
What does he want you to follow?
Origins, back to origins and purpose. And
That's interesting. Because the Lyrans or Lyrans are the feline race. And they say they're the original race, the original builders that we kind of came out of, so that's interesting. What is that? Did you guys hear that?
Mm-hmm. Wasn't me.
Did you hear that, Michael?
Yeah.
Sounds like Mary.
I don't know. I don't think it's me. I can hear it.
It's not my stomach. I'm
That's
just kidding.
not mine.
Just kidding.
Military.
That is crazy. Well, I'll be interested to see what our listeners think. So,
Yeah, I'm Googling it.
well,
I'm on the Google again.
Lyrans or Lyrans or whatever, the feline race, are some of the oldest race they say in our galaxy, and original builders. And they, through crossbreeding and stuff like that, they've looked more human in the future. But so
I want to see the picture of this. Were you able to see it, Mary?
I did not see it, but we can probably contact him. I'm sure he'd share the picture.
Yeah, I would love to see it. Absolutely love to.
now these beans are, they're really big. They're 12 feet tall, at least.
I mean, if their paw print is that big.
Mm-hmm.
And he's on the second floor.
Yeah, they're very fierce
Right.
beings, but they're, very intelligent.
And on the roof. Now that's another one I've been getting more often lately, is beings being on the roofs of people's houses.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And see, this isn't the first time through regression work that he's talked about these kind of beings. This almost every single regression, something like this comes up where he describes this type of species.
What would be interesting, Mary, just a suggestion, because I know you'll have other people, other clients, while they're under, to have them draw what they see.
That's a good idea.
To
Yeah.
have them even just to draw the being, the intelligence that they're talking to.
Good idea.
It is. And I know this gentleman, he has a whole journal of experiences and drawings. So quite often he does that on his own.
It'd be helpful.
Yeah, while he sees.
And it's good to have a visual.
Right,
Okay.
right.
They've also been called the builder race too.
So, but they are an older, wise.
Feline race.
Yeah. And I haven't heard, I mean, I don't know I don't know everything, but I haven't heard anything terribly negative or violent or anything like that with that race.
Yeah.
So that's a plus.
Yeah, what pictures you see of them that are whoever makes them, they're very,
They're beautiful.
they're beautiful, and you definitely wouldn't want to mess with the one for sure.
Yeah, no, the males are fierce and the females are beautiful. I've been looking at pictures of them on here. I'd never heard of them before, or if I have, it's been a long time ago.
You know,
So I was curious.
Yeah, my theory is if something's alive for a long time, be it an insect, a mammal, a human, whatever, eventually it evolves into a higher state of living and being and intelligence and consciousness. And so, like a praying mantis, people see the praying mantis beings. They say they're very old. So eventually, some of these insects on Earth, if they can live that long, would eventually evolve into something higher and more intelligence, I would think. So, I mean, people say, well, what do you mean feline beings? Well, there's other beings out there. The possibilities of the universe are infinite. So,
And look at the Egyptian, the walls and the tombs in the Egyptian art, all the creatures with dog heads and human bodies.
were they depicting something they really saw? I mean, who knows? They could have been. I mean,
bird heads
right.
and human bodies.
Blue avians. We talked about that before. Mike.
Centaurs that are horse and human.
Yeah.
Who knows what all's out there or has been in the past?
Well, I told you there's that statue in China, the big statue of Anunnaki, and beside this Anunnaki, there's two centaurs. They have a horse body and Anunnaki head with the curly beard. So,
some narratives of other cultures talk about the genetic engineering that some of these beings were doing, and so they were experimenting. I don't know if that violated some type of directive or whatever, but that they actually did. They would put a donkey's head on a human, that kind of thing. So, and it raises the question: were these gods being depicted as they were actually seen, or were they symbolic of stuff? But they were doing all kinds of genetic experiments. So, a centaur, a minotaur, a mermaid, those kinds of things. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? I mean, all the stories you tell, you hear about the Anunnaki, they were great geneticists, with genetics, and we may be the result of that too. So.
Oh, it seems we're most likely, we are the result of that.
Yes.
All right. So for this next clip, he talks about why he thinks that the paw print is there and that he feels like he just came back from somewhere. And that's why he was seeing the paw print.
I feel like maybe he put the paw print there, like he just like left the room or left me there, like we did go somewhere, and the last thing he did.
And where did he take you?
I think he took me on the ship.
And what happened when he took you on the ship?
Oh, like he was training me or showing me something. Thought something like that. chair. There's a screen.
What was he teaching you?
He was teaching me some history, planetary history, maybe other planetary history. Also, maybe downloads of information would be embedded.
Why is it important for you to know the planetary history?
Because it's important to know where you came from and your purpose and your connection to their world. I see the Lyrans.
And there it was.
There it was. Yeah.
Right on, Lyrans.
So he definitely has some kind of connection with them because they're wanting him to know the history, to remember his history.
Right.
Yeah, and the reason to call that is because I think they're from the constellation Lyra. That's where they're from originally. But they also were in the Pleiades and Orion, and they get around. But
So they want him to know the planetary history of where he came from.
Yes.
And that seems to be quite the message with many of our people is we're learning where we come from. And we kind of leave it right there.
well, and from what I've read about it, they were here before the Anunnaki got here. The Anunnaki were supposedly were here 450,000 years ago, according to the Sumerian text. But so they were here before that. We're talking, a little over 1 million years ago. And so I'm not sure what they did, why they were here, but maybe after the dinosaurs were wiped out, they were in charge of implanting some mammals there since they're that race. I'm just speculating, but I'm just saying. I speak what comes to me, and who knows? But they are called the Builder race. Builder, yep.
Builder
race. So.
And I think it's important to know where you came from. Otherwise, you don't know where you're going.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's what DNA does. DNA tells you where you came from and how much junk DNA do we have. They call it junk DNA. What if that's all? What if that's all activated? Your junk DNA. How much information would you know about yourself? How much more information would you know? Because we only use very little of our DNA as it is now, and we have all this. I don't know the technical scientific term of it, but all this, they call it just junk DNA. Well, I think if that gets activated, we will know more about ourselves. Mm-hmm. Just a thought.
Or as Deb knows, the unknown DNA.
Yeah, that unassigned, that 0.25% unassigned.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it isn't something, just means that they haven't figured it out yet.
Right. Yeah.
I think of DNA as a kind of a computer program.
Yeah.
It can be coded and spliced and changed to make things different. Just like when you write code in the computer language, I think of DNA like that. And I've always gotten messages or thoughts in my head. I could never call them. Downloads made no sense to me. I mean, I didn't understand what they meant for the longest time, like you, Mike. It was just, it would come to me, and that everything we ever wanted to know about us as a species is in our blood, in our DNA. Yeah. We just have to know what we're looking for and how to look at it and have the right technology to find it. Mm-hmm. And I think we're getting there to actually,
yeah,
said, it's just another very complicated computer programming system.
It's just like our brain. They say we only use a percentage of that. And
Actually, I think we use more than what they say. We just don't know what we're doing with it.
Right.
It's doing something, but we're not sure what it is.
Yeah.
It's
So
always busy.
I know mine is nonstop.
Right.
All right. So for this next clip, we move forward just a little bit, and he finds himself. He's on a craft, and he is holding an ET baby in his arms.
So let's move to another experience where you're standing there and you're holding ET children. And you're there and you're holding a baby with large dark eyes. And her name is Andrea. And I want you to picture yourself there now. And you're holding her in your arms. And then I want you to move backwards a little bit before Cassandra was born. Can you tell me more about how she was created?
I feel like I'm seeing eggs grown. Grown in the room with the tanks.
And what do they use to grow them in the tanks?
There's a medium in the tank. It's like a jelly fluid, nutrient fluid. It's gel, or somewhat gel-like. It's kind of greenish brown, translucent. I think the way they do it is all energetic.
There's that warm fluid again.
Yeah.
So when they do stem cells, they have to keep them alive in a fluid, right? I mean, I don't want to get into the I don't want to say political side of it or the right or wrong side of it, but stem cells they have to keep alive in a fluid too. I mean, to grow like a part of you or part of your arm, part of your hand, part of you, whatever, you know. So I mean, I don't. I am totally comfortable. That's what they do. I mean, they grow probably. You know, that's just they're creating a womb is what they're doing, and they have the tanks right there. I can see that. I mean, it doesn't surprise me or shock me or whatever.
So you have to, with that being said, wonder, is that baby that he's holding a part of him?
Well, if you notice, there is a name that's associated with the
Yeah.
child.
Did he name it?
And
He when he wanted to explore, he called her Cassandra.
Cassandra, huh?
So he has, if nothing else, he has a relationship of some sort with her.
Yep. I find it how interesting how he describes them being created energetically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that doesn't fit in this world we live in.
Mm-mm. I mean, I guess it takes energy, but
Yeah.
different kind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm thoroughly convinced that we're way ahead of what they're telling us about cloning and this kind of thing going on. I mean, like Jurassic Park. I mean, have we created a dinosaur already? Brought it back to life with old DNA? I'm sure we have. So,
And I just can't figure out how they would. But I'm not an alien, and I don't have alien technology. But in my mind, I can't figure out how they would create another living being energetically. It seemed to me it would require more stuff than that. But then I'm just looking at it from a little slice of human,
Right.
Right. Well, I mean, in the past, we know, and Deb, you know well, that human bodies have been used to create beings.
Yeah, they get your DNA, they get something part of you, but how is what energetic? How do they do that energetically? Without being 3-dimensional, or
Well, we know how Dr. Frankenstein did it. He did it with electricity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Brought it down. And that was back in the 30s. They're talking about that.
But
But yeah, I mean,
I'm
energetically,
not a scientist, so
I guess we need to know what they mean by energetically. What is it? Energetically with thought, or energetically with machines, or energetically with what, electricity?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like that's part of him somehow, or else he wouldn't be holding it and he wouldn't have given it a name, whether he consciously is aware of it or not.
Yeah.
Right.
And haven't they talked of other experiencers being female, remembering going to a craft and holding babies and feeling connected to them?
Yes, I even besides the girl, I do have a memory of being somewhere and being handed a little frail boy, a little male child, looked human but super frail, tiny, thin, great big brown eyes and lots of hair. And I named him Andrew, but I wasn't for sure if he was mine or not. But I was told to hold him because that my holding him would nourish and strengthen him. And when I looked into this infant's eyes, I felt as if I was looking into the eyes of someone who was ancient, and all the wisdom and knowledge in the universe was inside this infant's eyes. And I felt it very intensely. And it was a brief moment. And I've also heard other women say that they've been in places where they've seen vats of liquid-filled vats with what looked like babies in them. So, I mean, that's something I've heard over and over again from multiple sources over the last 40 years. So
Yeah.
that's not like something I hadn't heard before.
Right.
Well, I've had dreams of holding babies, but I'm 100% positive it's just the fear and the memory of being pregnant and giving birth. I'm positive that's what my dreams are. It's just because then I wake up and I'm like, oh, it was just a dream. Thank God.
Thank God. My little sister probably feels like that. She faints every time she sees a newborn baby ever since she gave birth to her son. 40 years ago. Yeah, she can't even go to the hospital to visit anybody that has had a baby because she walks by that window where all the babies are and she faints.
Oh, no.
Childbirth can be very traumatic for some women. And I'm just talking about here on this planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I've dreamt many times about feeling a baby inside of me moving and knowing it's there and knowing that I couldn't keep it.
oh, wow.
But I
I've
never
heard that
really,
before too.
I never put a lot of thought in. You wake up and think, oh my God, that was a terrible dream.
Mm-hmm.
But, not like your sister-in-law. I loved being pregnant. I loved giving birth. So I'm a weirdo.
I wish I was knocked out, so I don't remember.
Well, a lot of the cases you hear, these women become pregnant and the doctor says, yeah, you're pregnant. And they're like, how am I pregnant? And then like 6 months later, sometimes it's gone. And they can't explain that.
I've heard that a lot too.
And So there's
But it all kind of goes back to, he's saying they were created energetically, and us trying to wrap our heads around that. You know, if you're using a body
just
and you know that some type of the sperm, egg, something has to be involved, that's physical.
it just could be science beyond our comprehension right now.
Yeah,
So,
maybe.
Yep.
Maybe.
What about you, Michael? Have you ever experienced anything like that? Not being pregnant by any means, but
You never know.
No, I was thinking of, it's probably science that we just can't comprehend.
Yeah.
But it's also, for me, it was rarely do I hear about men being asked to hold children.
Yeah.
Usually the stories that I've read about in the literature or heard from, it's usually been the women. So I was just a little intrigued because maybe it's not so much the holding of the child or if the child belongs, whatever that word means, but just to study what it elicits in the person who's doing the holding, what it elicits, what feelings, what's triggered by that. You hear a lot about sometimes these beings are intrigued by our emotionality. Not that they don't have any, it depends on who, what, when, where, and how. But to see this man, to have this man hold the child as opposed to a woman, and to see, hey, what are they observing? That's why I thought was a little bit intriguing as well. This may be the first time or one of very few times I've heard of a male person being given, here, hold this child.
Right. Yeah, it's very rare for sure that you hear that.
Right. And is it rare because it doesn't happen or because
You just don't hear it.
men wouldn't talk about it? More men would not. I would assume that most regressions, at least 3/4 of the regressions are female, but I could be wrong. I don't want to stereotype, and I probably am, but I would have to wonder how many men would feel comfortable with saying, I held this baby and I felt anything. You know what I mean? So is it that it doesn't happen or it isn't talked about?
I think it's more of the second than the first.
Yeah.
Because I know personally a few men that I've met in the whole, phenomenon, and I knew them for quite some time, and obviously everybody knows about my story. And I knew them for quite some time before they were comfortable enough to even remotely breach the subject with me, and then they had contact, and theirs was more of a sexual nature than mine was, as far as the contact between the extraterrestrial or whatever they are. Mine was more medical, but that sexual part of it embarrassed them because they were completely out of control of their bodies and themselves, and they didn't want to talk about it to anybody, but they felt comfortable with me after a while and shared some things with me. And then later on, they felt that they had participated in the creation of some other life form. So, I mean, there's men out there, there's probably more than you think, but a whole lot less of them are going to talk about it very much.
Right.
But remember, gang, we're not talking about the copulation. We're just talking about holding the baby.
Oh yeah, well that's true. But even
that was we had a big leap there.
I went.
We had to go there, didn't we?
But I'm thinking of the creation of the baby.
There goes the family audience. But
when you said,
I'm just talking about just the feelings from the holding. What does that, like and I'm not going to speculate anymore because I'll be all over the place. But I'm just saying that's rare, and I'm sure they were noting what that was like for
Well,
him.
I think they do that with females as well, though. I mean, I feel
Oh, but
like
we
they-
know that because that's
I
all
think
we
that-
hear about. That's all.
yeah.
That's all we hear. That's a given. I'm
Mhm.
just saying with this guy that this is something that's rare, and I don't know if it really matters how rare or whatever. But here's a guy, and what was it? A maternal feeling? It is paternal. I'm sure they were noting that. Because we always hear about the women, and that's great. I'm not arguing that. I'm not even talking about having sex.
Mhm.
I'm just talking about here. Hold this child, and then there's a name involved. What is that like? What I'm sure they're noting that.
Well, let me guess. We're going to find out, Mary.
You actually are.
Okay.
With this next clip, he delves a little bit more into how these babies are created.
Oh wow.
Blend the energetic frequencies of DNA. They blend and at a very high frequency level, almost light level, blended, and then it's stepped down with intention to form a intention of a certain being type. Could even be for a specific soul container they're creating, or a specific being that's waiting to incarnate, and then as they step down the energy into that super physical vibration on the craft, they direct it into the medium in it, and when the frequency matches that medium, it connection's made, and it starts to grow.
That's
Wow.
pretty heavy duty. Yeah.
And right before you played that clip, I was thinking about. I just saw a video clip. There's an old video clip of Bob Lazar, and I can't remember where I saw it, somewhere on the internet when I was just sniffing around. And he was talking about the. I don't know how he was told. I don't know how it came about in this conversation, but that extraterrestrials looked at human beings as soul containers, and they didn't want us to damage the containers because they were using them, putting stuff in them. And then he says that, and it.
So Linda Moulton Howe talks about that as well.
Yeah, I went
But
right.
it's not
there.
all of them. It's not all of
No.
them. He was talking about, and she was talking about. I have her book over there, Other Realities. That it was this particular was a group of grays.
Yeah.
But certainly we don't want to say all of them.
No.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. It comes back to the question though. Where does this soul energy come from? Where does this consciousness come from? And as you evolve, do you evolve to a point where you're responsible for it, make sure these souls get into these containers?
Well, the thing is, though, if we go to Einstein, it's just physics now. If the soul is at this very basic, it's energy, and energy cannot be created or destroyed. So it may not be where they come from. We may always have been.
Yeah, it's always there.
We have always been.
Yeah.
And
but it seems like there would be a lot of technicalities of where you're going to be and what container you're going to want, or do you have that choice? And what kind of situation you're going into, or do you know it all? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you don't.
Well, yeah. No, I know what you're saying. I mean, if you go back and read Seth, if you go back and read the Michael teachings, they say that you do make those choices between lives. It just depends if that's what you believe or not.
Yeah.
You know, because it's no way, it's hard to prove, even though we could argue through hypnosis it's been proven or whatever, Dolores Cannon, what have you. But going back to your first question, yeah, this energy is it's already existed.
And so I might go back to last week. I think it was last week when they said they wanted him to remember his part, or that he's a part of it, that he is, you know, maybe they want him to remember that, you know, he's, well, like all of us are souls, and we've all come into these containers. I always tease about it, but maybe that's what they're trying to jog his memory, that he remembers that we're all connected, you know. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it right.
Right.
You get
I know what
gist.
you mean, Deb. And I wanted to say, Deb, because you made a comment before, I'm not saying, how can I say, when Linda was talking about it in the book, it was like the Greys looked at it like you were just, you know, getting in a garbage can or something. This particular group of Greys.
Yeah.
But there are other folks, and just like us, who say it's still sacred. It's not just a container.
Right.
It is a sacred vessel, you know, and you discard it after you go. That's what I meant, Deb. Because I agreed with you. But I you know, Linda was trying to say, well, they didn't really have any respect for it. These people, they're just here, and you know, which there are probably some ETs who think that, you know, those who think that we're not ready, we should just stay a slave race and all. But there's other. This is sacred. It is sacred. It gets us through whatever we've had to go through until we leave, and then we discard it.
It gives us experiences that we couldn't have any other way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in that way, it's sacred, as opposed to, you know, it's just a tin can, and when you just discard it.
Well, you know, it just makes sense that if you take care of your container, you're going to have a better life. I mean,
have better experiences.
Yes, but you don't want to be so attached to it,
right?
That when it's time to get rid of it, when it breaks down or it's time to go, that you're so attached to your body.
Yeah.
You know, all you got to do is walk in a gym,
right,
and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, if people took as much care of their inner life as they do to their bodies, it may be a kind of a different world.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Well, like I said, the Christians, I think of the Christians, maybe in other religions call it the holy temple, right? Your holy temple.
Or the body temple, or in
temple,
Hinduism, but it is, you know, it's what you use for this life.
Right.
Yeah. And I think what you were trying to remember from last week, Deb, is when they were giving him the history of the planetary history, so he would know where he came from.
Okay.
So, I don't know.
It's been a week.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
All right. So for this last clip, he talks more about the ET children and what happens after they grow and what their purpose is.
okay.
And then what happens with them after they're grown?
Well, he was born, you know, at the right time, and they awaken it. I feel like there's like nurses and stuff, and care them, grow them. I think, you know, feed or whatever, and but somehow it's important to have the connection to the human, at least in this case. That's why they bring me on the ship periodically to meet these children. You hold them, that energetic imprint. It almost makes it like, what I'm getting is that it's almost makes it like they're born on Earth, almost like they connect with, because there's a DNA match with myself and the children, and so there's a a link at that young age that's established that connects them to the human collective and to the earth, even though they weren't born that way. It makes the link. They can operate then with and work with that connection as they grow, because that's part of their mission.
And what is their mission?
This particular one is destined to come to Earth at some point, live on Earth when its energetic frequencies are right. But I've been shown this before, that she works from a craft, but also works with the grids of the planet to help balance the grids and bring them into higher frequencies. Not just her, there's like lots of beings that are working on this shift.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I think you heard this before from someone else too.
We get a lot of talk about grid work, don't we?
Yeah.
But it's a good point to what Michael said about it's more about holding that baby and connecting with that child energetically.
Right. Yeah, you can't help but think, if you're a boy raised by a wolf, are you a wolf or a boy?
Or are you both?
Or are you both? Right.
Yeah.
So, you're raised with the wolves, you learn their ways, you become one with them, but you're also human. So
Yeah.
can you? Yeah. So
Remus and Romulus, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, right. But I mean, listen, gang, we were just talking about 15 minutes ago. Basically, we were saying that we were made of star stuff as well.
Yeah.
So we're still human beings, but we may have a touch of stardust in us.
Right.
And so, they don't kind of negate the other. You just, you kind of, you live with both of them.
Yeah.
right.
And
You don't have to pick either or.
Right.
All you have to do is own it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said this before, that there's different types of environments out there and different planets, and I think this is why this hybrid program goes on. So to make it more livable for people that want to enjoy this planet or enjoy one other planet, or you have to change a few things. You have to tweak the DNA, and you have to do this and that and have the hybrid situation going on. But because we if you take us to another planet, we may not be able to survive in that atmosphere. They may have more hydrogen than oxygen, whatever. So you have to tweak it, and I think that's what's going on here too. It's part of the program.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It always seems like it's some part of the program, doesn't it?
Right. Yeah. Kind of that interbreeding to build that connection. And I think that we'll have more and more of them here.
I'm strictly talking the physical realm, the physical part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And how is he handling discovering that? I mean, basically, he's saying he shares DNA with them. So he knows he's a parent or, has that connection. How is he handling that?
I think his answer to handling it is he lets it process for a couple of months, and then he wants to do another regression. And he wants to get a little bit more of the answer. He always listens back to the previous regression, and that's how he comes up with what he wants to explore even further.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And I think that's his way of dealing with it, is finding the answers. Getting down to the heart of the matter, and he's used it to embrace a lot of spiritual growth, spiritual purpose. And I think that's the way he sees it is, okay, so this just didn't happen to me. I experience these things because I have a greater purpose. And if I find that answer, I'll get closer to what that purpose is and start living it.
Mm-hmm.
As with, any kind of spiritual journey, really.
Right. Right.
Just
Well,
depends on the journey.
Yeah. But many of us feel that connection, the star connection.
Mm-hmm.
But to think of this man who is holding these babies and realizing they are a part of him, that connection, and I don't want to be gender specific again, but I'm going to, for a man, that has to be quite an awakening in itself. I mean, it gets me right in the heart, right in the heart. I'm feeling that for him.
This universe may not be as big as we think it is, right? We're all connected.
We
Absolutely.
are definitely all connected, yes.
Yep.
One big soul, right?
That's right. Our favorite saying, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we could all be the same person right here. We're just in different bodies,
Well, we are.
experiencing a different thing.
Mhm.
For somebody, for something. Call it what you will.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a deep one. I mean, really, this is big.
And then his latest regression, which will play out in a couple of weeks, we'll get even more into those answers for him.
Okay.
So
Sounds
got
great.
a lot of information. So
Yeah. But it helps to know that he's continuing with this process and
Mhm.
working on it, because that's a lot.
it is.
Yeah. Makes me concerned for him. So I'm glad he's in good hands with you, Mary.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, all right. That's all we have for tonight's show, you guys.
All right.
All right. Love you guys.
Yeah.
Love
you
you
too.
too.
all.
Have a fabulous
Great to
night.
see you again.
Stay warm.
Yeah.
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 Come on, 30s. Come on, 30s.
It's going to be 9 degrees here tonight.
Oh, God.
See y'all
I
later.
still blow